Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the fourth orthodontic lab for class 4 students in College of Dentistry, Mosul University. Today we try to learn you how to construct a new type of spring that's used in orthodontic removable appliance. This spring is called Z spring. This spring takes this name since it looks like a Z letter with two coils, 2 mm in diameter for each. These two coils enable the active end of the spring to be activated in a straight line perpendicular to the dental arch. Also, the spring is constructed from 0.5 mm stainless steel wire. The indication of it: number one, correction of single palatally positioned anterior tooth. Second, correction of simple rotation, not more than 45 degrees. First of all, we try, or it's better to draw the design of the spring on the tooth. For example, we will work on this central incisor. So we measure about 3 mm above the palatal gingival margin to start the active arm of the spring. We start by a very small loop, as small as possible. Then this loop move to the other side of the tooth, making small coil 2 mm in diameter. Then another coil is made, and lastly the retentive arm. This spring, the dimension of it should be confined to the dimension of the mesiodistal length of the offending tooth. Should not cross the tooth, neither mesially nor distally. It's important to know that the point of active arm, in case of correction of rotation, should be on the side that I want to rotate it. That means if I want to make mesial rotation for this tooth, this loop should be located mesially. Otherwise, if I want to do distal rotation for this tooth, the active end of the spring, the small loop, should be located distally. But if I want to do just labial tipping, the location of this end is not a matter. Now we cut a piece of wire, 0.5 mm stainless steel. We try to straightening the wire to facilitate our work. First, we start to make a very small loop by the tip of the round beak of the plier. This loop should be as small as possible. Just like this. We put it 3 mm above the palatal gingival margin. end distally or mesially according to the case. Now I start to put a mark point on the other side of the crown. Now, I put the end of the round beak player just before the mark point. Not on, not after, just before. And I make the coil in the same plane with the first loop I made it. Now I make a small bend to ensure the correct dimension, then I will continue. I need to check the length. It's important not to cross the mesiodistal dimension of the crown. Now I will continue. The coil should be 2 millimeters in diameter and should be above the active end of the spring. I should always check the work step by step. Now the length is proper, not exceed the mesiodistal dimension of the tooth. Now the coil and the loop in the same plane. The coil is above the active arm or active end. Now I will make or put another mark point on the wire. Equal to the length of this loop, and also I will hold the wire just before the mark point. Now I will start to make the second coil in opposite direction to the first one. I mean, the first one starts mesially toward the distal side, the second distally toward the mesial side. I also make a small bend and check my work. Okay. It's important to know that the second coil should be below the previous arm, below and not above. This coil should be, as I said, below this arm and above this arm, below this and above the retentive arm, I mean. Now I should check my work again. The length should not cross the mesiodistal dimension of the crown. Also, I need to make both coils. This is not in the same plane, So I need to correct this. Okay. Now all in the same plane. Now these two legs, this active end, this leg should be parallel. So I need to straighten them. Yeah. Now, at the midpoint between these two coils, or 2 millimeter after the end of this coil, I will put a mark and at this point I'll start to make a sharp bend posteriorly. Sharp bend posteriorly. Yes. I will cut the excess wire. After this bend, I measure 6 millimeter. Then I start to make a retentive zigzag. I mark the distance 6 millimeter. We'll start to make the zigzag that will embed it in the acrylic and to present the retentive arm. Always I need to check my work. Check the dimensions. Now, before I can say I finish my work, we need to do a squeezing for the spring. This squeezing is important to increase the range of action. The squeezing is done in such manner by closing the coil together. You should squeeze the spring as much as possible. As much as we can, we need to squeeze it. Yes. Now make squeezing. This spring also should be perpendicular to the targeted tooth. Should be perpendicular. Now I need to make a bend which will make him perpendicular on the tooth, and this bend will elevate the spring. Okay, now I check the work again. This is the active end of the spring. Two coils, 2 millimeter in diameter. These two coils should not cross the dimension, mesiodistal dimension of the crown. The spring should be squeezed. The spring should be perpendicular on the tooth. After the second coil by 2 millimeter, I start to make a bend 6 millimeter, then the zigzag part that will embedded in the acrylic. Now, how can I do activation for this spring? The activation is done by two methods. If I need to do rotation for the tooth, so I will open one of the coils, either the first or the second one. But if I need to make or to get a tipping movement, so I need to open the both coils by gentle pulling of this active end. So if I need to do rotation, for example, I need to open one of the coils, either the first or second one. But if I need to do tipping movement, I need to open both of them by gentle pulling of the arm. So both of the coils will open. This will enable the spring to produce its action in a straight line. Now we finish this lab. I hope you benefit from this explanation. See you in the next lab. Thank you.